Hello everyone, Justin with Deep Dive Stocks here, and today is September 4th, 2025, and this is the After Hours Market Dive. Let's get started. We're going to start today with gold with the GLD ETF, the Spider Gold. We see that it had a little bit of a red flat day, but it's been overall in this bearish liquidity trend. So let's go ahead and look at this would be the 9:30 on the 3rd, so the start of yesterday, and let's take a peek for how conditions moved from then. So we started out with that bullish liquidity, riding up underneath the LDPM L5 resistance. We get that bearish liquidity starts to poke through, moves us down to that support at LDPM L6. We move through that again down to LDPM L7 by the time market opened. And we can see from there, we've essentially just been riding along that wave with the recent introduction of a little bit of bullish liquidity. This gives some hope for a reversal in trend, likely a move up to LDPM L7 or LDPM L5 if this bullish liquidity continues. And so that's what we're going to look for currently, that movement up to LDPM L7, LDPM L5, but we have to keep an eye out in case that bullish liquidity, which really is just in this portion of like as the market was closing and now in the after hours, if that starts to flash bearish again, then we know that the likelihood of moving up to that resistance is dwindling. It's slowly moving away. So a lot of eyes probably on gold right now, and right now tentatively bullish, probably a little bit of people buying a dip, but that is going to need to translate into more organic bid to get through the LDPM L7 and 5 resistances that are located just up north. So probably some rocky futures ahead for gold. We see moving along to ES Futures, we have a pretty bullish show. So let's go towards the end of yesterday and let's see how things progressed. So we had that bullish liquidity, we had the bearish, a little bit of that mixed bearish activity. We went to the resistance, we switched bullish, moved over, and we maintained this bullish with a little bit of flattening price. But thankfully, these little splashes of bearish liquidity were sparse, came along LDPM L5 resistance, again, kind of repeated here, experienced a bounce, and that is where we currently find ES Futures, having bounced. This is a relatively bullish outlook. We have bullish LDPM, we have LDPM, or bullish LDPS, we have LDPM in its bull stack, which, if that sounds like a new term, definitely go check out the earlier videos on bull stacks, or bull traps, bear traps, and start dipping your toes into the stacking of the LDPMs. But on the surface, LDPS is bullish. We do have LDPMs in a bullish stack. The price is stagnating a little bit, so maybe a little concerned for the introduction of bearish liquidity, so something to keep an eye out for, which is, again, just this repeating pattern we kind of keep seeing. But as long as things remain bullish, even if LDPM L5 needs to be tapped for support, we should expect a bounce, in so long as LDPS maintains its bullish outlook, which currently it is. Moving along to GME, we see, unfortunately, more bearish liquidity is entered. So the last time we talked about GME was yesterday, and it was right about here-ish. We saw that GME had a sudden surge of bearish liquidity, moved swiftly through the supports, and landed itself in a bear trap, testing that LDPM L7 support. And then how did conditions change? So we briefly got bullish. We would expect movement up, but it quickly fizzled out to support again, switched back to bearish, and it looks like the rest has followed. We did get a little bit of a bullish attempt here, but it didn't even make it up to the resistance before flatlining and turning bearish again. And so how do we find current conditions? Well, we currently find conditions with bearish liquidity approaching this LDPM L5 resistance. So high level of concern that this resistance will, bat the price back down since it's already bearish. But the alternative would be to look for the emergence of bullish liquidity as these two approach and come together. Which would then suggest that crossover of LDPM L5 is likely to occur, which then, if bullish liquidity is maintained, would suggest movement up to LDPM L7 at 22.91. But unfortunately for now, at least on the 15-minute, we see that the bearish liquidity has predominantly remained. The bullish splashes that have come through haven't really manifested much in terms of the spot. And so it looks like this union of spot and LDPML5 is the next thing, the next kind of event to look for. Ideally, this LDPM5 is the bid reaching down, and so we might get the emergence of some bullish liquidity. But for now, unfortunately, it's a resistance. LDPS is bearish, and so bracing for more downside is the prudent option, I should say. So in general, that is the market. A relatively robust move on ES futures, a mixed move on gold with the emergence of bullish liquidity, and GME, unfortunately, with a continued bearish decline. And so that is what we looked at today. Cool. If you want to look at anything in particular tomorrow, let me know. I'll include it in the video. Otherwise, I shall see you then, and happy trading, everyone. Bye.